Hi, I'm Andy Burns. I play in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Today we're going to go over hip and shoulder separation. It's an essential component to being a rotational athlete. We're going to go over a couple drills and a couple corrective exercises.
So let's talk about hip and shoulder separation, how it's going to help an athlete, a rotational athlete, create more power, more arm speed, bat speed, whatever the case may be. It really comes down to how the abdominal muscles work. I have different abdominal muscles that attach to the bottom of my rib cage and top of the pelvis. Some of them sit at these diagonal or oblique angles, some actually sitting across this way. What's going to happen is if I was hitting a baseball, first thing that would happen is I would stride or I'd weight shift. And if I would weight shift, it's going to start to move my hips, and as my hips start to turn, these abdominal muscles, especially the ones that sit in here at these kind of diagonal angles, they get stretched. The more separation I have between the turn of my hips and the turn of my shoulders, the more these bands, or these muscles in this case, are actually going to stretch. When they stretch, the way the body works is, on their own, when they stretch fast, rapidly, they're going to shorten, go the opposite direction explosively, create a lot more force and velocity than you can make them do on their own. So we actually want, for a rotational athlete, to be able to generate a lot of hip and shoulder separation, but we want that hip and shoulder separation to also happen fast. So it creates what we call this stretch shortening cycle, or in medical terminology, a myotatic reflex. That's really what we're trying to gain. Okay, so we're going to look at hip and shoulder separation for Andy. So we're going to put the ball between his legs. He's going to squeeze the ball once again to lock down his hips and pelvis. He's going to cross his arms. He's going to turn to me. He's going to get to the end range. That's as far as he can turn right now. Let's do it one more time. So I'm going to help him open up his T-spine. I'm going to use a band once again. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go across to his left underarm. He's going to sit, and all he's going to do, we're going to use the assistance of the band. He's going to turn towards me. He's going to get to the end range. When he gets there, he's going to take a deep breath in through his nose, exhale, and allow the band to turn him. He's going to do two more like that, nice and slow. Deep breath in and turn one more time. And the band is actually helping him once again turn a little further. So working on hip and shoulder separation, once again trying to really work on mobilizing the T-spine, making it easier for him to turn his shoulders further. It's really important for rotational athletes because they make their money creating power for hitting, throwing, whatever the case may be. A lot of good core stability exercises train the spine in neutral. In other words, there's no rotation. Everything's straight up and down. The spine's perfectly aligned. That's really good for back care and back health. But for a rotational athlete, if all we ever do are planks and exercises with the spine in neutral, the athlete doesn't have this movement pattern. They can't actually turn and separate their hips from their shoulders. So we're working on hip and shoulder separation. We will work on planks. We will work on, at other times, there's part of the routine where the spine is in neutral. But it's really important, once again, to get hip and shoulder separation because that's where the rotational power comes from, turning the core. I'm going to unhook the band and we're going to see what's changed. Turn to your right as far as you can. So now we've almost got a 90-degree shoulder turn. So we've opened him up. The next step is on this, we want to actually strengthen those muscles that he's just opened up. We want his T-spine to turn and be able to maintain that. So we're going to use the band, and this time we're going the opposite direction. We're going across his chest, but this time we're going to hook under his right underarm. And simply just going to do 10 reps. He's going to cross his arms, and he's just going to rotate to his end range right, exhale as he goes, and doing 10 reps. The band, the torso harness are resisting his shoulder turn to the right, so he's actually strengthening the muscles around his spine that before were locked down and limiting his shoulder turn. Now we're strengthening them. I'm going to unhook him, and let's see what's happened. So we did the mobility, now we did some strength resistance training with it, and we want him to turn back to the right as far as he can. And he's got a big time shoulder turn, so it's really opened it up for him. That's going to help him create more power because he's got more hip and shoulder separation now.
You look at the best players in the world and you don't see bodybuilders, you don't see guys who can bench press 400 pounds. You see guys who really know how to use their body and use it efficiently. You know, in baseball especially, you don't want tight hip flexors, you don't want tight shoulders. those are all limiting factors in creating rotational force. So it's up to you how you want to train. Do you want to help yourself be the best baseball player you can be, or do you want to go and do bicep curls